Good morning, children.
Good morning, ma'am.
During the first period, we discussed about the mechanism of inspiration and expiration, and we were discussing some terms related to respiration. A few terms we already discussed, a few more are remaining. So let us continue with that. These were the terms we already discussed: tidal volume or TV, volume of air inspired or expired during normal respiration. When normally you are expiring or when normal respiration takes place, the amount of volume or the volume of air taken in or given out. Inspiratory reserve volume or IRV, additional volume of air a person can inspire by forceful inspiration. An expiratory reserve volume, additional volume of air a person can expire by forceful expiration. Then residual volume, RV, volume of air remaining in the lungs even after forceful expiration. Till here we had discussed. Now the next one, vital capacity. We denote it by VC. Vital capacity is the maximum amount of air, the maximum amount of air a person can breathe in or out after a forceful expiration. So that the maximum amount of air a person can breathe in after a forceful expiration, or maximum amount of air a person can breathe out after a forceful inspiration. So this is the sum total of ERV, TV and IRV. So it is a sum total. Vital capacity includes ERV. ERV means expiratory reserve volume, inspiratory reserve volume and tidal volume. So when all these are joined together, combined together, we get vital capacity. Now total lung capacity means the total volume of air that can be accommodated in the lungs at the end of forceful inspiration. Even after forcefully inspiring, you try to expel out all the, after forceful inspiration, you took all the force to inspire the maximum, to inhale the maximum. So like that, how much will be the total volume of air that reaches your lungs, that can be accommodated in your lungs after inspiring forcefully? Not normal inspiration, purposely you're forcefully inspiring, inhaling as much as air you can take in, and what remains, the total volume of air at the end of that, is total lung capacity. This includes RV, ERV, TV, IRV, all combined forms the total lung capacity. So these terms can be confusing. As I told, make your own mnemonics to recollect and remember all these. Definitely you can expect questions from this, minimum for 2 marks. Either the difference or any of these terms can be asked to define. Easy to understand but difficult to memorize. Next, inspiratory capacity and expiratory capacity. This should not be confused with inspiratory reserve volume and expiratory reserve volume. This is
Steffi is in waiting room.
Okay. You cannot see anybody in the waiting room. Inspiratory capacity IC, expiratory capacity EC. So this should not be confused with inspiratory and expiratory reserve volume. So what is inspiratory capacity? That's a total volume of air a person can inspire, can inhale. So inspiratory capacity, the capacity, maximum capacity to inspire after a normal expiration, not forceful, after a normal expiration, what is the total volume of air a person can inspire? That is inspiratory capacity. Once you know inspiratory capacity, replace the terms and you can write down expiratory capacity. The total volume of air a person can expire after normal inspiration. Not this, it is normal, not forceful. And that is 3000 to 3500 milliliters inspiratory capacity and 1500 to 1600 milliliters expiratory capacity. Once again, inspiratory capacity means total, the total volume of air a person can inspire when after a normal expiration, and total volume of air a person can expire after a normal inspiration forms expiratory capacity. Now the next one is functional residual capacity, FRC. Volume, you know that from the term residual, something which is left behind or remaining. You already learned about residual volume. This is functional residual capacity. That's a volume of air which remains in the lungs after normal expiration. Normally, not forcefully expiring. Normally, you are expiring. Still after expiring, the air that remains in your lungs, that is functional residual capacity. 2200 to 2300 milliliters will be your functional residual capacity. For an adult human being, that will be the values are given for an adult human being, a normal, healthy human being. So with that, we have completed the different terms associated with respiration. So once again, we'll have a quick recap of all the points. Tidal volume, then residual volume. Tidal volume, residual volume. Then inspiratory reserve volume, expiratory reserve volume. Vital capacity and total lung capacity. Then inspiratory capacity, expiratory capacity, and functional residual capacity. So when you learn these terms, bring together all the similar terms like inspiratory reserve volume. Immediately after that, you can learn what is inspiratory capacity. Then expiratory reserve volume and expiratory capacity. Compare and learn. Residual volume, tidal volume. Then functional residual capacity, vital capacity, and total lung capacity. So similar terms, you compare and learn, then you won't forget. And those amount, it's okay. Amount, if you can't recollect also, but please do learn the description of each term. Okay. If I ask you the questions, I don't think you'll be able to recollect all that now. Will you be? Will you be able to recollect? I'm not getting an answer. Next class, I will ask you just the table alone. So when you come next class, be prepared. I'm going to ask you only the table, only the terms in the table. Just learn that and come. So that I'll be taking an oral test. Agreed?
Yes, ma'am.
Agreed?
Yes, ma'am.
And what I believe is almost 17 students are there. But this I am hearing only always, most of the time, I'm hearing just one or two voice, one or two students' voice. 12 o'clock, we'll start our test. Okay, 15 minutes, I think that will be enough for you. Alveoli, they are the primary sites of exchange of gases. Why we call it as the primary sites? Where else the exchange of gases? Where else the exchange of gases is taking place, children? When we say primary, there should be a secondary site also. Otherwise, we won't say primary. Where is the, again, the exchange of gases taking place? Between?
Cells.
Between cells and? Who is supplying cells?
Capillaries.
Or blood. Okay, capillaries, blood is there in the capillaries. So between the blood and tissues also, the exchange of gases will be taking place. The method of gaseous exchange. how this gaseous exchange is taking place. So that is based on pressure and concentration gradient. Concentration gradient, you know, diffusion means movement of molecules from a region of higher concentration to a region of lower concentration. So here I have given the picture of here I have given the picture of alveoli. What you see here is a single alveolus. So this one is alveolus and this is the blood vessel. Okay, blood capillary or blood vessel. So here in the alveoli, oxygen will be more. And here the oxygen concentration will be less. So it will move from a region of higher concentration to a region of lower concentration. Similarly, carbon dioxide will be in more concentration in the blood. So they will move from a higher concentration to a lower concentration, that is in the alveoli. In alveoli, carbon dioxide will be less, oxygen will be more, and the reverse in the blood vessel. So always they move based on the pressure differences and concentration gradient. The different factors affecting the diffusion of gases, solubility of gases, that is very important. Solubility of gases, and the second one is thickness of the membranes involved. If the membrane, that is why alveoli and capillaries are thin walled. If they are thick walled, this exchange cannot take place smoothly. So the thinnest the surface is, the easiest will be the diffusion of gases. Both alveoli as well as blood vessel, the capillaries, are having thin walls, which facilitates the easy exchange of gases. I think remaining we'll continue in our next class. So let's have a quick test paper. Just note down the questions. Steffi, you joined? Why? Because you thought
I was in some other room.
Go to some other class. Oh, biology already one period we had. Let me try out some commerce class. No, which class you try to join?
Ma'am, I don't know, some other room.
So just like finding out, like we go to the shops now to find out where is the best thing or best dress available. So just like that, taking a round in all the classes, Steffi? No, by mistake. I'll believe that. Okay, now take down the questions. The first question. It will be better if you can focus your camera to the answer paper. Just bring it down a little so that all these test papers or all the exams are purely based on trust. Okay, so don't betray my trust. First question. No explanatory questions. I'm just asking you to draw the flow chart. Prepare a flow chart to depict, prepare flow charts to depict A, glycolysis, B, Krebs cycle. Prepare flow charts to depict first one, glycolysis, second one, Krebs cycle. Okay, all the names, no shortcuts, DHA, PP, GAL. I don't want shortcuts. If you want shortcuts, you can give it in brackets. I want the full name. If some enzyme is mentioned, that you have to write. And if water molecule, ATP formation, NADP formation, everything should be clearly illustrated. Okay, no explanation. I don't want any explanation. Just with the help of a flow chart, you can depict it. Ready? You may start now. It's 11:59 now. You can take time till 12:15. Start doing. I've got a few papers. Others also send soon. One more minute. Okay, Vidur. You may take. Children, we'll wind up as soon as it's completed. I think majority of the sheets have got. So others, please do take the phone. And Anna, you got it? So please do send fast. Okay, children. So I'll wind up.